All right. So what we're going to do is today we're going to cover basically how to job search. And I know a lot of people are out of jobs currently. I've been in and out of the market myself in the recent years. So I just figured I would kind of go over certain things that have helped me um, in the job market field as far as just like what to research, what your qualifications are, what makes sense, what areas to look for. So like I said, this is going to be very basic. Like I said, some of this will be, like I said, this is very entry level. So a lot of this is going to be just like searching the web, like what keywords to look for. If it's something that you don't need, like I said, you don't have to watch, obviously. But like I said, this is for the people that are just kind of having a hard time. They can't really figure out the right ways to go about it. They're frustrated, things like that. So let's start off with a generic site here. So I looked up just by location. So we're going to use Charlotte as an example, right? And I want to preface with, obviously utilize all the tools you can. Use like, network, use your friends, try to get them to basically, look for you, or if they know of a company that they work for that's hiring, they could be used as a referral. They could get money perhaps in some cases for referencing you. Um, so like I said, utilize all your tools, network, the internet. If you're local, obviously, you can walk to stores or places and be like, hey, I'm in the job market. Do you have any openings? Um, I want to start by saying that I've actually had some good luck with walking into to places, such as, so even like today, for instance, I walked into a place that I applied to 3 days ago, and they said, hey, we have your resume. Great. So I go, where's the manager? Can I talk to him? They said, yeah, here he is. And I said, okay, well, I'm here. I applied 3 days ago. Do you have my resume? And we go over to his office. He pulls out like 10 or 12 resumes. My resume's in there. So that's a reference of local. So if that's a local spot, within walking distance, driving, whatever, sometimes it doesn't hurt to go in physically. I've landed jobs that way a couple times where I would apply. I'd give them a couple days, didn't hear anything. I'd go and physically talk to whoever's in charge, manager, whoever's there. Um, and most of the time they reference your face. You're basically cold selling yourself right there. Like, hi, my name's, so and so, dressed to the part, like if it's a bank, dress up, you don't have to wear a tie, but, button down pants. Um, or if it's, even if it's like a mechanic job, if you're going into like a Mavis or something and you're trying to look for like a tech job, just go in there looking presentable and obviously present yourself and say, hey, my name's so and so. I applied a couple days ago. Do you have my resume? In a nice way, not that, they owe you a job. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, I did all this work. I haven't heard anything. Just go in there, like I said, in a nice, inviting tone and say, hey, I'm so and so. I applied a couple days ago. Do you have my resume? Do you have time to discuss currently, or would you like me to come back, or would you like to call me? Depending on, you got to kind of read them a little bit. If they're busy, obviously, give them the opportunity to, call you or at least escalate, your resume. So for me, for reference today, I went in there and talked to the manager. He said, great, I'll let you know. Okay, fine. I got an email confirmation. I was on a walk less than 30 minutes later that they were reviewing my resume. So does that mean I'm going to get the job? Not necessarily, right? I mean, I'm still competing with other people. But what it did was it escalated my resume and it put me in a different position. So, like I said, sometimes just taking that initiative, like I said, if it's a local gig, can help. Another thing that I've researched and done myself is, if you're looking for remote jobs, obviously it's going to be a little difficult because you're competing against basically the nation, right? Because everyone's looking for remote jobs. So instead of, say, 50 candidates, you're going to be going against 250 candidates. So I'm not saying you won't get it, but I'm just saying, reasonably, it's going to be more competitive, number one. So you're going to be competing against the whole nation in skills. And then number two, you're also just by volume, you're just competing against a lot of people. So whether or not they get to your resume, if they even get a chance to review it, who knows? It might get lost in translation because there's so many by volume, right? So just keep that in perspective. Like I myself have been looking for remote jobs on and off. So, and I haven't really had much luck with getting them. I have had one remote job. Like I said, it all depends on what you're looking for as well, such as like entry level versus mid or senior level. Like I said, it just depends on where you're trying to get in as well. So, like I said, just keep all those things with a grain of salt. I'm not saying, like I said, you're going to get jobs, you're not going to get jobs. I'm not promising anything here. All I'm trying to do is basically present my research and what I've done, and also to help you facilitate your research and apply to jobs that make sense, right? So anyway, now that that spews over, I just figured I would show you physically. Like I said, here I have just basically Google up. I Googled Charlotte companies in Google search. Obviously, you can see here, or sorry, Google search here, and then obviously in maps here. So I have both up just so I can see. Like sometimes it helps too. Like if you're in, say in this case, you're in Charlotte, you're looking for jobs in a big city. This is just an example. If you don't live in Charlotte, like I said, it still can apply in your city, but I'm just using Charlotte as a reference. I don't live in Charlotte personally. I'm not even close to Charlotte, but I just figured, this can translate to other cities or other places. Like I said, this will translate wherever you are. This is just basic search function and also just referencing for yourself where the location is. So say you live in like Mount Holly, for example. Like these are jobs that are close to Mount Holly and they're within a commutable distance. Okay, so this is a good start. You have all these companies just on Google Maps. So like I said, you can literally click them. And the good thing about Google Maps that I've noticed is, they obviously show what they are, right? This is a software company. So if you're in the software industry or tech industry, that's a good place to start. Chemical manufacturer. So, obviously science, manufacturing. So like I said, controls, maybe some hourly jobs there. Let's see what else we have. This is software company as well. So like I said, tech industry, construction. So there you go. So that's like a labor opportunity there. Foreman, supervisor. It depends on your background. Like I said, me myself, I'm a finance background. Okay, I have an MBA in business. I've done 10 years to 14 years experience total in finance, 10 years in high level positions. So, like I said, it depends on your background. Okay, so like I said, I'm in finance, so I would look for finance jobs. But for like I said, for everyone else, if your industry, like I said, manufacturing background, like I said, in this case, construction, foreman, supervisor, laborer, you'd look obviously at construction companies in that area and apply. Like I said, this isn't rocket science. Like I said, I'm just kind of prefacing for everyone else. Like I said, they may or may not know how to search. That's all. Okay. So I said you have a construction opportunity here, computer support services, so probably customer service there, customer success managers, things like that. This is a manufacturer, so obviously, hourly. Where'd it go? It's gone. That's a packaging company. But so manufacturing, Croninger, yeah, USA LLC. So like I said, so that's manufacturing. So obviously, it would be more like process efficiency, labor. Like I said, higher management perhaps. So let's just say just for fun. So there's a couple manufacturing ones right on top. Okay, so these are good to kind of be like, all right, so let's manually see what they have, right? Because, you're in the job market, it's close to your vicinity. So, like, for example, like I said, you're in Mount Holly, North Carolina, and you're looking close, right, within drivability, commutable distance. So, let's start with Barnhart Manufacturing. All right, let's see what we have. So, Barnhart careers, obviously, you're looking for the career section, right? So, most companies, if they're big enough, will have a career section, all right? So obviously you click the career section. Let's see what they have available. Join our team. Search open positions. Okay, very straightforward, easy. Didn't have to look too hard. Some of the companies that I've found, like you can't even find the apply. So now where are you looking? You're looking for Charlotte in this example. Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, let's see. So now what do they have? 0 opportunities. Great. So there's no criteria. Okay, so let's see if there's anything that they do have, right? Let's just search. They have 1 opportunity. Okay, so this is not the best reference. This is on-site, and where is it? Mount Airy, North Carolina. Okay, great. So let's see where that is. Is that close to Charlotte? Like I said, I don't know the area, so let's see where it is. So I said we're still in Mount Holly. We're trying to find. So let's just see. So I'll go back to that, but let's just see where it is. So Mount Airy, I have no idea. Let's see. So Charlotte. Okay, so that's actually quite a ways away from Charlotte, as you can see here. So Mount Airy is this little couple dots because I zoomed out. So that's probably not going to work because like I said, we're kind of up in here. We're looking at Mount Holly. So like I said, we're kind of up in here. But like I said, this is helpful because it helps you utilize maps too. Like where is it? Is it commutable? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? In this case, it doesn't make sense, right? Because it's going to be a bit of a drive. It's going to be an awful commute most likely. You're going to be home late. You're going to be getting up early. Okay, so that's a good reference. So now we know for sure, right? And like I said, I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence. Like I said, not trying to mansplain. I'm just literally like, this is how I research when I'm applying to jobs. And like I said, if you have different ways that work for you, definitely utilize those. Look, gather information from everybody. That's what I try to do too. Use other people for references, and try to use how they research to your tactic in advance and help you get a job. So that job, now we know, like I said, that job, they don't have anything. Crow Ninja USA LLC is not going to work. Okay, so fine. So that's okay. We know. We know for sure that that's not going to work. Or actually, it's Barnhart. Sorry. So let's see. Let's do a different one here. Oh, that's Barnhart. So I used Barnhart. I apologize. So that was wrong. So let's try Croninger then and see what they have. Let's go on theirs. We can delete Barnhart, right? Because they're gone. It's over. It didn't work. Okay. So now we know. So now let's go to career on Croninger. See what they have. Let's see. So read more. Like I said, none of this. I don't really care about any of this. So this I'm gonna do another video also. So in this situation, like I said, I'm just going to touch on it quick and move on. Okay, so say for an example though that you get a job at Croninger, they want to interview you. Okay, this is after you submitted your resume, your cover letter. They send you a confirmation email. Great news. We want to pursue you as a candidate. What time's a good time to meet? And then you give them a time, Tuesday at 9 o'clock. They confirm, okay, great, Tuesday 9 o'clock sounds good, right? This is all example. So now what I would do in that situation is I'd go on their website. Croninger, okay, what job was it? So like in the email, they usually show on the confirmation, like, congratulations, we've chosen you for such and such position. I'd go on the website under the career section, look at the description, the job description again, just so I'm sharp, because like I said, you're applying everywhere in theory, right? So you apply everywhere, you want to kind of have an idea. So you go back into your section where you applied, you look at the description, that way it's fresh in your mind, like, okay, this is the job, this is basically what they're looking for. And then also, Croninger, like, what are they? So, like, when were they established? What do they sell? What do they manufacture, right? Okay, so this is a good section to learn that information. That way, when they ask you questions, you're already qualified. Like, you know what the company does, you know how long they've been in business most of the time, and then you can, you basically show them that you've already done your research. So this is a family business, second generation. Okay, so what does that tell you? That's all information for your benefit, okay? This is not a corporation, this is a family business. So what does that mean? Most of the time, and they employ 1,500 people, which is kind of a lot. It's a pretty big size. And where are they? At our German facilities and wherever that is in Germany, and in our U.S. site in Charlotte, North Carolina. Okay, so they're a German company, right, and headquartered in Germany. HQ, headquarter, Germany, all right? So that tells you a couple things right off the bat, just in one sentence. That they're not an American-based company, they're German-based, and they have a site in U.S. So that's good information. They're a family business, they're not corporate, so you know that they're going to value their employees in theory. Most of the time, family businesses value their employees more. They try to, maintain that working relationship because it's a family-style business, so everyone's really close. Which can present its own problems. But like I said, it just gives you the information knowing it's not corporate. It's not a corporate business. It's a family business. So that creates a whole different dynamic when you interview. Okay. Also, like I said, they're not based in U.S. So that's something to touch on in the interview. What do you know about our company? Well, I know you're a family business. I know you're headquartered out of Germany, not the U.S. You have a U.S. facility in North Carolina. And what do? Croninger provides filing and closing machines for pharmaceutical, consumer healthcare, cosmetics. Okay, great. So they dabble in pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and basically cosmetics, beauty, right? Okay, so that tells you a lot. Just those two sentences right there. Okay, so this is all once you get qualified, once you get interviewed, set up. This is, like I said, just those couple sentences give you all the information you need. So I would make notes. I would have like a notepad or put it in Word or however you want to process it. I'd have the description of the job and then what is the company, and this shows you that information. So like I said, I'm not going to touch on it again. I already went through it, not going to stay on it, but that's just for later. Okay, so like I said, that's just for your information. It kind of will help you just in your mind answer questions the right way. Whether it's family owned or corporate, it's going to be different answers. Okay. And not that you're lying. You don't have to lie. You just have to understand what they're going to be looking for. Like they're not going to be looking for, corporate. It's going to be probably more hands-on. It's going to be, family. So they're going to try to take care of each other, and it's going to try to be, more hands-on with people that you work with. It's not going to be like in the cloud and you're zooming and all this stuff. It's probably going to be more demanding, which is fine. Like I said, but just know that going into it, right? And then, so these are your positions. Okay, so Charlotte, great. They have positions in Charlotte. Like I said, where are we looking once again? We're looking at Charlotte, right? Okay, great. So that's right there. That's the company. It's in Charlotte. It's not in Germany. These aren't German jobs. They're in Charlotte. Perfect. So now it just depends, do you have the qualification, right? Like, does your resume make sense? Does your skill set make sense? So, they have a field service tech, they have a service account manager, which is probably sales, I would assume. Let's see. So that's the other thing too, is you get used to verbiage. Like service account manager, account managing is basically sales. You're setting up accounts, right? So you're trying to sell their whatever, their high precision filing machines, right? You're trying to basically sell that, I would assume. Let's see. Innovative solution manufacturing, da da da. Standing career, sales. Yeah, okay. So unparalleled work environment for manufacturing, sales, machine assembly, engineering, procurement. Okay. All right. So here we go. So tasks. So coordinate customer projects. Okay, so you're dealing with customers. So like I said, you're going to be dealing with people on the outside of the business, mostly people that either buy the product, right, like their pharmaceuticals, their beauty, whatever. And then obviously you want to know the system. So customer requests. So it's probably a ticket system. They're going to send in requests in the system itself, and then you're going to have to go through it and see, process their order and just follow up and say, hey, do you like our product? Like how'd it work? Things like that, like post follow up of sales. That type of thing. So do you qualify for that? Like, is that your specialty? If it is, then apply. What do you need? All right, your profile. You need a bachelor's degree. Simple. Do you have that or not? Right. Or equivalent. And honestly, if you have an associate's, I would still apply. Like, if you have an associate's and like 4 years experience, for example, this is bachelor's or equivalent experience. So what that means is a bachelor's and 2 years, or like an associate's and like 4 or 6 years. Depends on how they want to do it. I don't know. It's their company, not mine. But that would be qualifiers, right? And then, so do you have experience? Do you have a bachelor's and 2 years experience handling, coordinating projects, planning, coordinating, and delivering customer support? So yeah, so you're basically going to be dealing with customers and following up with them and handling projects that they put you on, more or less. So like I said, so do you qualify or not? So like I said, so that's just an example. Okay, so let's see what else we have. Can I go back? That'd be great. So that's an account manager, right? So that's this position. So now you know what's required of that. So you would apply there. So let's say for an example, we apply there. Okay, we applied there. We wait for a response. I usually give companies, I try to give them, as of lately, it's been like a month or so before I even hear a response. So like, am I getting a response back or not? Sometimes it's instant denial, within a day or two, and you're going to get a lot of denials. So don't be upset. Like, don't be deterred. They didn't choose me. Like, it's okay. Like, it's gonna be fine. Like, I applied at the worst point in my life when I was unemployed for a little while. I applied to like 400 jobs in a month, and I only heard back from like four, I think. So like I said, so sometimes you're gonna have that. You're just gonna get denied. Like I said, if it's a company that's big, especially, or like I said, Charlotte. For example, the city of Charlotte itself. Let's see what the population is, right? So like I said, I'm just trying to give you research information. Like I said, I'm sorry if it's a little overwhelming. I'm trying to not talk too fast, but I think I am. Population of Charlotte, and we'll just see what basically, because I don't know their demographic. What are they? So there's 900,000 people. Okay, so that's a lot of people in Charlotte. So like I said, so you're going to be basically competing just in the Charlotte area against those 900,000 people, and obviously not all 900,000 are going to have your background, or a background for that job, right? But what that means is like I said, it's going to be highly competitive. So like I said, so don't get deterred. Like I said, there's 900,000 people you're going against. Just keep throwing resumes out as much as you can. And obviously, if you're local and you can go there physically, maybe sometimes that will give you a benefit, and it will show, obviously that you're serious about the job. And then also it'll give them a review of like what you look like how you present yourself. Do you talk well? Can you present your skill set well when they ask you questions? Stuff like that. So like I said, like in this case, like I said, if you get denied, don't be upset. Like I said, just keep applying. Service account manager job, field service tech. They offer mechanical engineering. So like I said, so that's good. If you're an engineer, also you have these two engineer jobs. So these are great. So apply to those if you're an engineer. What do they offer? 20 days of PTO calendar year. Okay, great. 401k matching. Okay, great. My first question on an interview, just by reading this, would be, what's your 401k matching? What percent? Is it 1%, 3%, 7%, zero? What is it? What do you match? And like I said, that's for later once you're at the interview stage and probably at the offer letter stage. But what's the 401k matching? Because that matters. That's your retirement, right? So you kind of want to know that information. Also, maybe it'll help. What holidays do you guys offer? Just so I know how to plan my vacations with my kids or my wife or my husband or whatever. So like I said, so this is all just information you're gathering from just the company page itself. All right. And also sometimes it helps knowing when was the job posted. Okay, this job was posted in January. It's now April 23rd, so that's actually like 3 months ago, going on 4 months ago. So that means that they either A, haven't found a good candidate, or B, maybe they're not getting a lot of job, applications on it. So that's a good thing. Because it's been out for a while. So maybe if you send in your resume, they'll be like, okay, it's been out for 4 months. Let's give this guy a chance. Let's see what he has to offer. These are more recent, obviously. So this is 4/23. So that's like today they just posted these. It looks like. And don't let it fool you. Like just because the date's backward, this is April. This is 23. They're a German company, so obviously overseas their dates are different. I only know that because I worked with people that were like Spanish and from Mexico, and they do the same thing. So like I said, so this is actually April 23rd, 2025, just for reference. All right. But like I said, so that's good. So that means like these two jobs would probably be the first to be filled if you applied like today, and most likely you'd get faster feedback because they've been out for a while and they're probably trying to fill them. I would assume. Like I said, I'm not a hiring manager, so I don't know. I'm just going, like I said, outside view, what I see. All right. So next, so Croninger, we did that. This one we did. This was Barhart. Okay, so let's get rid of this. So now we're still in Charlotte. We're looking at, I guess, ironically, I kind of got stuck on the manufacturing side. But so now let's see, Inks International Inc. Okay, that's still Charlotte. Let's see what they have to offer. Okay, great. And where is search here? Where's their careers? Career. Okay, so sometimes you have to scroll to the bottom. Like right here, I'm all the way down. Like I said, I don't know if they have a spot up here. I might have missed it, but some companies, like I said, you just can't find the career section. It's like impossible. So another thing you can do, like I said, I don't have Apple, so Control F will search. So see, I use remote a lot up here. I put in remote when I search because I look for remote jobs most of the time. But so like in this instance, like we see the career section, but if you don't see the career section, type in career, right? And you can skip right to it, which will save you a lot of time. Boom, there it is. All right, it highlights it. So once again, just for reference, like I said, I didn't know how to use Control F for a very long time, and it's a very simple function, but it'll save you a bunch of time. So Control F on your keypad or on your laptop or whatever you're using, or Command F if you're on an Apple, and then literally just type in career, and then these arrows, there's one of two, so that means it found two career sections. So you want to go to the second one, there you go, it's right there. So like I said, you don't have to scroll, you don't have to look for it. Where is it? I don't know. You can just type it in, Control F, career, right to it. Okay, save you a bunch of time. Let's see, what else do we have? All right, so they break it down, which I don't really like this that much, because they break it down by position, areas of excellence. Like I don't really care. I just care about where are the jobs. Like where's your search section? Let's see. So yeah, some of these you got to kind of work through a little bit. And this also helps too. Like this is, like I said, information for you. How many locations do they have? Okay, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 locations I count, right? So that teaches you and tells you information as well. They're a bigger company. Obviously, they have many locations, not just one. That also opens you up for transfer if you decide to move or, move locations. Say you want to move to California, right? You're in Charlotte, in theory, you're in Charlotte now. Say you want to go to Texas, you have that opportunity. They have a place, Arlington, Texas. As long as you like Arlington, great news. They can probably transfer you, later on in your career if you stick it out long enough. Also, California, same thing. If you want to go to California, Sacramento, San Leandro, you can do that, right? So this is good because it shows you, like, in case I ever want to transfer, I can. And if I want to be a part of a bigger company, this is a bigger company. They have 13 places, 13 sites nationally, okay? Let's see, what do they have? So let's kind of keep it the same because we just did what? Like accounts? So maybe I would say it'd be under operations, but let's find out. And like I said, it just depends. Sometimes it's different, and maybe they let you search. This would be great. So search by location. And so, like, for example here, if you're looking for remote work specifically, they have a box, which is handy. Perfect. Remote. What do they have? They have one job that you can work remote from. Sorry, I can't talk sometimes. So that's good. And let's see if it really is. So what I usually do is I always proof what I'm looking at. Like, is this really remote? It says remote. What does it mean? So I always do Control F again, and then remote. Employees can work remotely. Okay, but is it hybrid? Is it full remote? What is it? We don't know. Okay, this is a remote position based in California. Okay, great. So that tells us what we need. Is it remote or hybrid? It's remote. Good. We know that it's remote, 100%. We don't have to worry about going in. I don't know why it says it's based in Southern California if it's, well, because that's where the company is. All right, so that's fine. Which I don't know, that doesn't really make sense to me. But like I said, maybe I'm just not reading it right because it says Illinois, but then it says based in Southern California. So maybe it's a support Southern California site for the Illinois site. I don't know. So that would be for me a question I would want to ask on the interview. Like, hey, just checking in, if I applied to this job for a technical project specialist and they say yes, I saw on the site it says remote, specifically based in Southern California, but it says that the position is in Schaumburg or however you say it, Illinois. So is it really in Southern California based out of, or is it based out of Illinois? Just in case they want you to, maybe go in sometime, or like they do sometimes annual stuff and they want to have everybody together. Like, where would I be traveling if I have to go in, right? I know it says remote. Like, would I ever have to go in or not? And then if not, then great, you don't have to ask that question. But like I said, this is just information that you kind of would want to know also. Let's see. What else? All right, so we have technical project, and let's see what else they have. Like I said, in Charlotte, because we're looking at Charlotte, remember. Let's see, Charlotte, North Carolina. I don't see it. It should be under C, I would assume. So let me just do Control F again, make sure I'm not missing it. Charlotte, I don't see anything. Okay. Let's see, North Carolina maybe. NC. Oh, that's finances. See how it highlighted the NC because I typed in NC, so it's finance. But that's not North Carolina. I was looking for NC as in North Carolina, not finance. Okay, but that's good. So now we know there's no jobs in Charlotte, but they do have a remote opportunity. So if I want to work remotely from my Charlotte location, which might be a benefit too, if you interview and they have a Charlotte location, you can say, hey, I saw it's remote out of Southern California. I know there's a time change because there's like a 4-hour time change or whatever it is, 3-hour difference, something like that, 3 or 4, can't remember. But just say, hey, I work out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area, and this job's remote, but if you ever need me to go into the Charlotte facility, I'd be happy to accommodate or something like that. Like I said, that might open you up to more potential with the company because they realize that you can hit one of their facilities that's local also. Like I said, this is all just stuff that I've learned. Like I said, if it works or not for you, don't know, but I know, like I said, what I've had good luck with. All right, so now we know there's no Charlotte, but if we want to apply to a technical services job remote, we can. All right, next. So these are other Charlotte companies, but let's just stay on this for now. These are all software. So like I said, software is great if you're like an engineer, product manager, customer success manager, customer success analyst, whatever. Those are great for those jobs. So like I said, if that's your background, that's your bread and butter, right? All these software companies. Packaging company to me is kind of relatable to manufacturing. So like I said, they're kind of hand in hand. So let's see. Let's do Atlantic Packaging out of Steel Creek and see what they have. Let's see. Bear with me one moment. I apologize. Let's see. No. Okay. What about this? Sorry, just bear with me, guys. I apologize. Okay. Gone. All right. So now, like I said, we're back on Atlantic Packaging, which, like I said, Charlotte-based company. We're still here in Charlotte area. We're in Mount Holly, so like I said, it's still commutable. Charlotte or Atlantic Packaging, I'm sorry, is like I said, a little bit of a commute, but not too bad. Like I said, Mount Holly's here, and obviously this is down here somewhere. I think it's like behind this. I don't know. I can't really click it. There we go. Atlantic Packaging. So anyway, let's see what they have available. We need to see the About section, Our Story, Careers. So either Our Story or About section usually has the careers in it. Just a little side note for quick access. If you don't see careers on top, like I said, usually under the About or Our Story section or something that has that kind of setting would have it. All right, so view job listings. Let's see what we see. Okay, what is this? Experience litho and flexo press operators. Okay, so this is a manual labor job, right? You're running a machine. What you'd be doing is printing graphics, I guess. I don't really know, because I'm not familiar with this industry, so I apologize. Yeah, okay, so run high quality print jobs. All right, simple. So you're actually, using, a print operator machine, basically. So, and here's qualifications. It's physically there, obviously, because you're running the equipment. So, if you have that, then obviously click the apply here. upload your resume and wait for a call or not. Um, I don't know, like I said, if they have any other sites, but like I said, that's a later on thing anyway. But like I said, so now we know they have one job. So experienced, 3 to 5 years experience, resume required, simple, basic. Run the machine. Okay, so simple. Like if you have a manufacturing operator experience, you would apply to that job. Okay. Um, all right. So let's see what else we have. So like I said, there's a lot of software companies in Charlotte. So like I said, it seems like a good area for like I said, a product or engineer or customer success. So like I said, so a lot of software companies. So like I said, if you're in that field, this would be a good place to apply, and a lot of manufacturing as well. So like I said, these are all manufacturing, so that's all good. There's a lot of manufacturing opportunities if you're in that background. Um, and like I said, this is all just I don't know anything about Charlotte. So like I said, so I'm learning the same way with you guys. I'm just trying to figure out what what. So the industries they have mostly is manufacturing and software, from what I can tell so far. Let's see, where am I? This would be in east. I don't even see where this would be. This would be northeast. Well, north south. This is north central. Like where is? Oh, here it is, South Atlantic. My fault. All right. Like I said, I'm learning on the fly here as well. I haven't looked at these companies before, so. All right. Let's see if I can find. Ooh, no, that's promos. I thought it said positions. Sorry. Okay. So careers. So at the bottom, I didn't see that at the top. I might have missed it, but if I didn't miss it, it's at the bottom. Oh, it's probably under here. Yep. So about. So I apologize. I did miss it up top. But like I said, so that's handy to know. So about careers at top, and then also they have it at the bottom. So this is they utilize Glassdoor. It looks like, which and like I said, I want to reference this only because I've had horrible, not horrible. I don't want to like tread on them, but I haven't had the best results. I'll put it that way using recruiters. Which Glassdoor is not a recruiter, but it triggered this memory. So I haven't had good luck on LinkedIn. Like to me, LinkedIn is like one of the worst as far as results go. I've had people reach out to me, revise my resume, do first meets, all that stuff, and I've had like no results ever out of LinkedIn that were positive as far as like going to next steps or getting a job opportunity. It's always just been recruiters talking to me and trying to critique my resume, which to me is a useless experience. Um, I have been placed once by a Robert Half company in the past, but other than that, like I said, to me recruiters are like the worst. That's why, and like I said, no offense to them. Like I said, it's just my experience. Maybe you've had better experiences. I only know my experience. But that's why I've come to use this. Like the last couple jobs I've had, I've used this exact system, and it's gotten me jobs because I've looked at maps. Is it close to me? Does it make sense? Is it remote? And what are the companies that I can apply to? And then you just go through, which is what I'm doing right now. It's a little bit labor intensive, a little bit manual, a little bit time consuming, but it has given me the best results personally. So like I said, I figured I would at least share it, and hopefully it gives you the best results. And if not, I apologize. Like I said, I've had good results with it. But anyway, I reflect here, and I'm going back. So Glassdoor, so career portal. We want to review the positions. All right, so sales, parts, service, applicants, corporate, perfect. And you can look at all the jobs, which I prefer. I don't like how they categorize them all as different jobs. To me, I just want to see them all, and then I can kind of sort from there. So here we are. We're going for Charlotte, right? Charlotte, no jobs. Okay. Uh, no jobs. All right. I just want to make sure. Sometimes I'll double check just to make sure that it's not like a glitch or that it didn't go through. So no jobs specifically in Charlotte. Okay. So where do they have jobs? Houston, Durham, which I guess Durham's close. I don't know, like I said, distance-wise, how close Raleigh, Durham is to Charlotte. I think it's, where is it? Durham. Okay, so it's way up here, as you can see. So that's a problem because it's very far. Because Charlotte's on this side and Durham's on this side. Okay, so now we know that's a little far, so it's not probably going to work realistically just because of commuting and such. Um, but they do have multiple facilities. That's what this tells me because they have Texas, they have North Carolina, they have California. So that's good. At least let you know there's opportunities elsewhere if you ever wanted to move or whatever, grow up in the company. You can go to different places. Um, so let's see. There's no Charlotte. Do they have remote? Let's find out. And these are all the locations here. I can't really see. Sorry. Okay, so these are all the locations they have. And it doesn't look like it's remote. Another thing with remote that I do, I always type just to make sure. Remote, enter. Nothing. Great. Virtual, because virtual, sometimes companies will say virtual instead of remote. So I've learned that. So I type in both virtual, remote, nothing. And then Charlotte, obviously, we already typed in, so nothing. Okay. So that's good. Now we know, like I said, this company is out for sure. We have nothing we need. There's nothing in the location that we're looking at. Um, and we'll get to this. This is just basically everything that I don't see on the map. These are all going to be high publicized companies, right? Such as Bank of America, Lowe's, Honeywell. So like I said, if we don't see them on maps, I always do both. I do maps first because usually it picks up all the companies that are closest to my proximity or where I want to work. And then if not, like once I'm done going through all those, which I'm not going to go through them all, like so this is all just example. But you know, you might have to if you're actually looking for a job and you can't find one. But once I'm done going through all of those and applying, I would go through this and apply. So like, you know, where's the manufacturing jobs? Let's see if they have any. Nothing. Nothing in the search. So like I said, so these look like a different industry. So this would be like healthcare. So HRM Health, Novant Health. Any other healthcares? I don't think. What's a new core steel company? Oh, so that's manufacturing here. It doesn't say manufacturing, but like I said, sometimes you have to read and kind of like piece it together. Steel company, manufacture, right? They're going to manufacture steel. They're going to build things. They're going to fabricate things, most likely. You know, welding steel, building stuff out of steel, or shipping steel. But either way, like I said, it'd still be like manufacturing or distribution, depending on how you look at it. Um, so that's one manufacturing company out of all these. The rest, this would be automotive. So this is a lending or a leading automotive retailer. So Sonic Automotive would be automotive industry, obviously, sales, service, parts. And then there's a lot of finance. So there's LPL Financial, Wells Fargo, Lending Tree, which technically would be like a fintech company, I would think, because it's online marketplace for loan products. I mean, I guess kind of they're also lending. Well, they're mostly lending, but um, so like I said, that's still kind of finance, right? Because they offer lending. Food Lines, grocery store, Dollar Tree's retail, local retailer. Uh, Dillard's department store, Hendrick Motorsports, NASCAR team, Amazon. It's probably a distributor, so this is yeah, including warehouse and fulfillment. So that might be it's not manufacturing, but it's you know distribution, so it would still kind of fall in that wheelhouse of manufacturing, pretty much. Um, so yeah, so Wells Fargo, LP Financial, CommScope, global technology company, and infrastructure. So I don't really know what that would qualify for. It would be a tech company, obviously, but I don't know like what they would really do. I'd have to look at the company and go through it. So this is a chemical company. So like I said, that might be distribution, manufacturing. It just depends. I'd have to look at the company as well and go into the about, see if it makes sense. Duke Energy's utility. So that's basically just an energy company. You know, so utility company. You could apply there if, like, say you were like a truck driver, um, or well, maybe not a truck driver, but you know, if you had like power, utility experience, you could apply there. Truist is financial. Honeywell headquarters in Charlotte is I don't know. They're I thought they were. Let's see, because I don't know. I know of the name, but what do they actually do? IoT platform. Conglomerate corporation. Oh, okay. So they do aerospace, building automation, industrial automation, and energy. So they have a multiple faceted industry basically. If you go to Honeywell, but like aerospace, so it looks like that'd be like engineering, automation. You know, that'd be like engineering as well. AI type of setup. Industrial automation, same thing. And then energy and sustainable solutions. So like I said, if you have a background in that, that might be um, a good avenue to proceed down. But like I said, so these are just companies that I would also look at because they're all in Charlotte. So and some of these are bigger, like I said. So it'd probably be you know pretty competitive. So you'd have to have a good resume, a good cover letter. Um, so like I said, so these I just want to touch base on those. Like I said, I mean I know I only focused on manufacturing specifically, but like I said, you don't have to. You know, you can look up. You know, say you're in finance, right? So let's do Charlotte finance, finance companies. Oh, I already have companies. Da-da. Ah, no space. Gone. Space, enter. Okay, so now, so you can search by specific industry. So like if you're finance, if you're tech, if you're engineering, you know, whatever. You can type that in, just type in the location first, what industry, So, finance, manufacturing, tech, whatever goes right here. Second word, and then your city, industry, companies. Boom, it'll pull it right up for you. Okay, wherever you are. Um, so like I said, so see now it's going to focus specifically on just finances. So mortgage broker, lender, finance broker, loan agency, mortgage lender, finance institution. So like I said, all these you can just click on, do the same thing, same process we've been doing. Click on website, career, right? That's it. Just those two things. Website, career, look at the jobs. Are there jobs, like I said, if we're in Charlotte, are there jobs in Charlotte or not? And obviously there are because we put in Charlotte. Like I said, but once you get there, they might not have the job or they might be taken. Um, Same thing here. So like I said, you can do, ooh, wrong site. There we go. So companies in Charlotte, or like I said, same thing. If they don't have it, do finance companies in Charlotte. See what comes up. Uh, so here, so these are places. So like I said, just skip this. This is nonsense. It's a sponsored ad. So this is all your actual finance companies, regional. Show more places, and then you can scroll. So and like I said, this is Mount. Oh, Mount Holly was right up in here, and we're still in the Charlotte area, as you can see by all the red dots and just everything around the area. Okay. So then, like I said, you scroll down. National Credit, Piedmont Financial, SET Financial, UT, Southern Financial, Regional Finance Go, as the list goes on. Okay. So like I said, just literally look up whatever your industry is in the area, and then you'll have to go one by one most likely. Like I said, it'll be a bit of a grind, but in the end, it'll be worth it because you'll get your applications will get out there faster. They're legitimate companies, as you can see here. They have reviews. There's 40 reviews, 261 reviews. They're in your location you're looking for, Charlotte. So like I said, those are good steps. Another thing I want to just cover quickly, like I said, that was just research. I wanted to just at least give you a good research um, on the companies, and then I'll show you also. I've utilized ChatGPT, and I want to show you how to use it to your advantage. I know a lot of people know how to use it already, um, but I wanted to at least show. So like, you don't have to sign in or do anything. You can just leave it logged out, stay logged out, and then say you want to make a good cover letter. So example, I'll even do it one. I'll do one as a preference, okay? And what I usually do is, so like I'll go through an actual job. Let's do just a mortgage broker. Let's see if I can find a job here that will work. And this is for you to utilize. Like I said, the problem with this that I will say is that a lot of people are using ChatGPT too. So a lot of the verbiage will be the same. So what I've done specifically is I've used my resume and I would put it in ChatGPT. Um, so I would say make a cover letter. Okay, so I'll show you. This is step by step. Okay, I won't show you the resume part just because I don't want my information out there, but I'll show you at least the cover letter part, and I'll explain the resume part. Okay, so here we are. So let's start the process. So Southern Financial. Let's go and see what they got. About us. I don't see a career section. Some of these finance companies are not the best for about us. Let's see. Let's see if the about us has a career. Sometimes not. If it's a small firm or something, they might not have anything. Yeah, John. So it looks like it's a one guy unit. All right, so that's a bad example. That's fine. Like I said, now we know. Let's back out of here and let's go to. All right, so Cardinal Finance has 2,000 reviews, so that seems like it'd be a bigger company just by reviews alone. Let's see if they have any career section. These companies are so fake. I don't see it. That's tremendous. Free quote. Yeah, a lot of these, like I said, these finance companies are like not the best, just because there's, I don't know, some of them I just feel like they're not super. All right, let's try it. Career. Okay, careers we're hiring. All right, at the bottom, perfect. Just said it. Control F it. All right, let's see what they got. Find your career. Great, good news. Okay, so this is good. They have a remote position. These are all remote, it looks like. One in Virginia. Everything else looks like remote. I'm not sure about the second page. Don't really care. So just for example's sake, right? Let's do something. Business development. That's a fun one, right? I apologize. Excuse me. Sorry for coughing in the mic there. All right. So what I do is business development manager. All right. So this is going to be a sales position. You're going to be developing business, basically. It's in the verbiage. Makes sense, right? You're going to be sales. Okay. Business development reports to SVP, Senior Vice President, and responsible for identifying, establishing strategic referral relationships. Basically, you're selling. You have to sell. So build relationships and sell them. All right. But so for example, so for this, what I would do is I want to apply here, right? And I need a cover letter because they're going to ask for a cover letter. So you already have your resume. I just go all the way down. Okay. And then control. Just copy paste. All right. So copy. And like I said, for those not knowing like how I did that, I just highlighted. That's it. So I left. So I'll do it again real quick, just because I know this is a little confusing. So I literally grab everything. I go from the title all the way down because it's going to have all the information you need. So left on your mouse and just hold it across and then go down. It's going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Some of the stuff I don't need, like I don't need this stuff here, like on the bottom, this section. I don't need any of this. I just need the actual job, okay? Because it's going to have all the information you need for ChatGPT to grab and make your life a lot easier. All right, so we only really need to here, right up to apply for position. It's going to have everything in the middle, right? Title, description, what they do, all the way down to here, and then apply. So we don't need the apply because we're going to apply after. So Control C is what I just did, or copy. Right-click, copy. Now Control V, or right-click, paste, okay? Boom. Now what did we grab? See how it says Business Development Manager, remote, department location, remote, apply for this position. Who are we? Cardinal Financial. That's helpful because it's going to have their information in there. It's going to have the job description in there. So now you can make a cover letter that's going to be specific to them. All right. So now I'm going to do Shift and go Enter once. And then I'm going to type. Oh, actually, let's do it twice just for safety. And then I'm going to say make a generic cover letter. You can say make a cover letter too. I'm just going to say just for me, just so that way it doesn't use my info. All right. But for you, you'd want it to use your info. So you'd say make a cover letter. So I'm going to say make a generic cover letter using this information. Okay? Enter. Let's see. All right. So here's a generic cover letter. All right. Perfect. We have it. So this is literally, you just fill this out with your information. Okay? Your name, your address, as it says. And then you delete the brackets. You delete all the stuff here. You just have your name, address, state, zip. Let me walk you through it just because it'll be easier. All right. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through this part as well. I know this is supposed to be just strictly research. I was going to do another video on this, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and make a Word doc, okay? Because this is going to have all the information you need. And let me put this over here so you can see. All right, so now I'm going to make a Word doc with this cover letter, okay? Just so that way you have it already done. Copy, paste, done. Great. But see how it has, you're going to put your name, so I'm just going to use generic. So I always leave that end cap just so that way it doesn't mess up the format. So Joe, right, and then I delete. Let's see, 1 Impressive Ave, and then city, so we're in Charlotte technically, right, using this example. Charlotte, NC, I don't know the zip, so I'm not going to put it in there, but you put, obviously all your information, right? Delete all the way back. Okay, see there. Now over 1, delete all the way back. Delete. Okay, so see, and then obviously you do your phone. Date, so today's date would be 4/23, right? 4/23/2025. Okay. Now the company address and all that you can look it up. I think we have it, right? Cardinal Financial. So you can literally look it up. It just takes a second. I know unless you're like super lazy. But for me, like if you're gonna do it right. So this is their address, right? Cardinal Financial. So it's Torrington Way, number 200. Okay. So you just tap it once. It's gonna have the info right here, right? So here. So we just. Well, maybe not. Maybe we can't copy. Oh, I did copy. Okay. So it says copy to clipboard. You can just click this little button here. It'll copy the address, right? So now you just pull up your Word doc again. So address here, so we can just delete this. We'll see how the formatting looks. It might be garbage. No, it's perfect. Okay. So it literally copied the same formatting that we had, so that's good. So now delete. See? Now we have Cardinal Financial. This is the actual address that we want to apply to, even though it's a remote position. I'd use that, and then it basically gives you a nice write-up of the company and the job, right? I'm writing to express my interest in business development manager for the builder division at Cardinal Financial as advertised. And with over 3 years experience in client relationships, blah, 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 it's going to basically fluff you up and make you sound amazing. Awesome. Like I said, the problem with this is that a lot of people are going to be using the same template. So what I would do, like I said, this one I just copy and pasted just so you could see it. And then obviously, like I said, you still have this. So make sure you review it once you're done, because there might be this down here. You don't want to send it with this, right? You want to put your name in there. So we're going to do Joe Impressive again. And I actually messed up because I got rid of the formatting. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to get rid of this and leave that one, so that way I can do just a simple transition. Joe Wright, that's his name. Okay. And then obviously, like I said, you'd eliminate this line, or this spot. Okay, so Joe Wright. So now you have everything done. And like I said, what I would do is, this is a generic one, okay? So this is just the information of the company itself. Like I said, you had to fill in everything else that's yours manually. So the benefit of this is that if you fill in your resume, so go back to here. This is ChatGPT again, okay? This is the original template. Now what I would do, like I said, I won't show you just because I don't want to use my information, but if you have a resume in a doc, I would copy, don't paste the actual document, copy like this. Like go into your Word doc for your resume, right? And then just copy all the way down, everything on your resume, copy, and then go back to ChatGPT. I would paste it here, right? So here, I'll just do it real quick, just at least as a good practice. So I'm copying this. Pretend this is your resume though, okay, not the cover letter. So then you have the cover letter listed above here, right? This is the cover letter. Now paste your resume. Okay, pretend this is a resume like I said. And then go Shift Enter will bring you down a line. It's going to look weird. There we go. So see, now I'm down here. And I would say make me a updated cover letter. Oops, if I could spell. Letter using my information. Okay, because this is going to be technically this will be your resume that I just copy pasted in here, right? So if you copy paste your resume, then do make me an updated cover letter using your information, what it will spit out is your name will be up here. Your name, whatever's on your resume, right? So if you have your name will be here. If you have your address, it'll be here. If you don't have your email phone, it'll show up like this, and you'll have to type it in, okay? But like I said, so then it will critique the cover letter though with your information, and it'll highlight, and you can say, update my cover letter using my information and my strengths. Strengths. If I can, I don't even know if that's how you spell it. I think it's wrong, but you know what I'm trying to say. So, and my strengths. Let's see, hold on. Cover letter using my information and strengths. That might not be the best one. Make me an updated cover letter using my information and strengths. That match the job description. The job description, because it has the job description, right? So that's the thing. You have to understand that. So now you're going to use your information in the cover letter and your strengths to match the job description, which it made the cover letter with the job description, which is where it's in here somewhere. What you'll do. So it'll take all this information as far as what the job description is, and it'll update it, like I said, with your information. And then it'll make you sound really good, basically, with your information, and then it'll separate you, too, from all the other people that just use a generic cover letter, all right? And it will be different, naturally, because my background's going to be different than yours, okay? So make sure that you emphasize that, like exactly, you don't have to use exactly this verbiage, but something like this. Make me a cover letter using my information and my strengths that match the job description, or something to that effect, okay? And then just revise it. Like if you don't like what it says, just revise the resume, and then, like I said, save it in a Word doc, like here, copy paste it again. Once it revised, get rid of this, put the new one in, and then save it as, Cardinal Financial cover letter. And then you already have your cover letter done. And like I said, I know it seems like a lot of steps, but once you do it like redundantly, it'll be very quick, it'll be very efficient. You can just change names and dates as you go. It'll basically pull your information, and you'll have a way better chance of landing a job. All right. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, like I said, I am going to put it on YouTube. And if you have any questions, comments, whatever, Leave me a comment. I'll try to reach out to you and help you if you need help. Like I said, I can help you through even whatever this is, ChatGPT prompts. I can help you with researching. Like I said, if you give me your area, I can give you links to jobs. I can give you links to companies. Like I said, I've even used Wikipedia. Okay, so like even like in this example, let's get rid of this. But like I said, the benefit of all this is all I'm saying is that you can use basically the maps, or you can just type in companies in Charlotte, and you'll get different results. It's interesting because Cardinal Financial will be there, um, but then also you could be like Wikipedia, Charlotte, North Carolina, and then companies, and see if there's something else there. Company list. So here you go. See, this will give you all of the companies right here. List of companies in Charlotte. So like I said, use this to your advantage. This is very simple, right? And like I said, we saw some of these already, like Lowe's, Honeywell, we saw Duke Energy. But there's more here than what we saw earlier. So there's Sealed Air, JELD-WEN, and it tells you the industry that they're in. Banking, retail, steel, banking, chemicals, machines, whatever. So like I said, these, and then there's also these companies. So like I said, these are all these different companies that are just in Charlotte. So that's why, like, if you're frustrated with job hunting, you're like, I don't know where else to look, blah, blah, blah. Literally just look up a big city and look at the companies. Like I said, because there's a bunch that you probably missed. I cross-reference as much as I can, just because, like I said, because even, like I said, Maps is going to have different companies than Wikipedia. So, just see what you've already applied to and go from there, you know? Um, but yeah, so I just figured I'd try to help you guys out a little bit with your search. I know, like I said, the market is pretty tough right now. It's been tough for a little while. But hopefully this will help at least some of you kind of be able to search and research right, look at the companies, like I said, get information you need to do a good job on the interview when they interview you, and then also just make how to make a good cover letter. Like that's all I was trying to figure out. But also, like I said, everything that the companies put on their website is for your information. Are they family owned? Are they corporate? Is it small company, big company? When was the company established? What do they sell? Like, what are they actually selling? Like, we saw, like, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics. Okay, we know that they sell those things now. So, like I said, I just can't emphasize enough, like, all the things that are on the company website and their abouts, once they do say, hey, we want to interview you, that's for your information. That's for you to utilize to help you separate from everybody else. All right? But anyway, like I said, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everybody who stopped in and was checking me out. I hope that, like I said, this is helpful information for those of you out there, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful day.